June 7th, 2018. From Comedy Central's World News headquarters in New York, this is The Daily Show with Trevor Noah.
Trevor Noah, tonight's guest from the Netflix series 7 Seconds, Regina King is here, everybody! Man, we're gonna have some fun. But first, let's get straight into it. Let's catch up on the headlines. Remember how when Donald Trump uninvited the Philadelphia Eagles from the White House earlier this week? He said it was because the NFL players shouldn't kneel during the anthem. And then he went on to say they also shouldn't stay in the locker room. Well, Eagles safety, Malcolm Jenkins, he's struck on a new form of protest, and damn if it wasn't effective.
Philadelphia Eagles safety Malcolm Jenkins refused to answer questions about President Trump uninviting the Super Bowl champs to the White House this week. But he said he wanted to set the record straight as to why some NFL players have been taking a knee.
Are you surprised there's, you guys are kind of embroiled in this controversy with the White House? Lower that phone. Trump.
Yeah, please lower the phone.
Are you not going to say anything today, or just going to use these posters?
Did you hold it up again? We couldn't see it.
What are you listening to?
I'm not gonna lie, I loved every single moment of this because he's basically doing Love Actually, but for justice. Yeah. You realize for black people, racial equality is our Keira Knightley. It's Love Actually, that's what it is. You can feel it. And the best part is, Jenkins has found a way to protest where President Trump will never come after him, right? He's done it in a way that Trump will never come after him because we all know Trump doesn't read. Yeah. When Trump sees words, his brain just slides right over them. He's gonna see the players on the field with the signs, and he'll be like, look at them, all standing for the anthem, finally, holding their beautiful white flags. They surrender. They all surrender. We've won. All right, let's move on to our main story. Since Trump took office, there's been no shortage of financial scandals coming out of this cabinet, right? There was Housing Secretary Ben Carson, who used taxpayer money to buy a $31,000 dining set. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin wasted almost $1 million on travel expenses. And of course, Attorney General Jeff Sessions, who spent $3 million on an experimental body stretching operation. Worth every penny, if you ask me. I think he looks great. But nobody in Washington has been as consistently caught up in scandal as EPA Chief Scott Pruitt. And surprisingly, his scandals haven't come from him working to destroy the environment. No. They've come from his little side hustles, right? And normally when you find out about corruption in D.C., it's the kind of corruption that makes you mad, millions in bribes. But with every new Pruitt revelation, every time you find out, you just go, wait, what?
This morning, the controversies keep coming for EPA Chief Scott Pruitt. Emails show that Pruitt had one of his aides reach out to Chick-fil-A.
Scott Pruitt apparently tried to use his position as head of the Environmental Protection Agency to get his wife a franchise with Chick-fil-A. As astonishing as that sounds, even more astonishing, it's all in writing in government emails.
I'll be honest, this is not the fast food scandal I saw coming out of the White House. If anything, I thought it would be Trump getting in trouble for pardoning the Hamburglar. That's what I thought it would be. And yes, in case you didn't know, the Hamburglar is in prison, and not for stealing burgers, he was trafficking fentanyl. Horrible story. But just think about this for a second. You're the head of a major government agency with influence over some of the biggest corporations in the world, and you decide to abuse your position to get your wife a chicken store. My man, focus. You have all that power. You gotta think bigger. It's like he's Thanos and he's using the Infinity Gauntlet to cut the line at Disney World. It's just like, too many people. All right, Space Mountain. And honestly, like, the only thing weirder than Pruitt trying to score his wife at Chick-fil-A was his explanation for it.
Look, my wife is an entrepreneur herself. I love, she loves, we love. Chick-fil-A is a franchise of faith, and it's one of the best in the country. And so that's something we were very excited about. So, and we need more of them in Tulsa, and we need more of them across the country. So anyway, it's an exciting time.
What? It's an exciting time. What's an exciting time? He's so busted in that moment that he couldn't come up with the right emotion. He sounds like a guy caught red-handed at a murder scene. Well, the body, I came in and he tried to grab me and his head, and anyway, it's an exciting time, officer. And it really is an exciting time for Pruitt because he's finding little grifts all over Washington.
New trouble for EPA Administrator Scott Pruitt. Politico reports he loved eating at the White House so much he's been asked to eat there less often. Pruitt was frequenting the White House Mess, an exclusive restaurant run by the Navy, with excellent food, by the way, at bargain prices.
Oh, yeah, you heard that right. Scott Pruitt was eating so many discounted meals at the White House, they had to ask him to please stop coming. Like, I've heard of the government curbing handouts, but not for one guy. Like, how cheap can you be? Scott Pruitt's so cheap, he's probably at Starbucks like, so what you do is you bring an empty thermos, you fill it up with some of that 2% milk they got sitting out there, and boom, free milk. Yeah, what do you say? Like, the man can't help himself. Remember that time when George Bush was in Iraq and a guy threw a shoe at him, right? If that were Pruitt, he probably would have caught the shoe and be like, yes! One more invasion and I'll have a pair! Like, I'm telling you, once you begin to understand this guy's mindsets, all his other weird scandals start to make more sense. Like, earlier this week, we found out that Pruitt used EPA officials to buy him a used mattress from Trump's hotel. And it's a weird story, and at first, we thought that maybe he was trying to suck up to Trump, right? But it turns out, he was just trying to score a hotel mattress for cheap. In his mind, he was just like, it's cheaper than buying it new, and they throw in the bed bugs for free. And in addition, just today, we found out that Pruitt, and this is a true story, Pruitt sent his security detail to go and get him moisturizing lotion from a Ritz-Carlton hotel. Yeah. He basically asked his taxpayer-funded security to protect him from ashy ankles. That's what he did. So now this guy has got his guards running around town trying to snag him some fancy moisturizer like it's Lotion's 8 or some shit like that. And you're like, how is this real life? And there are actually signs that Republicans in Congress, who are, of course, the only people who matter in Congress, are also starting to get tired of Pruitt's endless claims, right? And his scams. Because when you combine these small grifts with all the other things that he's done, it's a pretty impressive list.
The White House is awaiting an ethics review on Pruitt that could lead to his removal. The list of probes or investigations into Pruitt is a long one, from leasing a D.C. condo from a lobbyist's wife below cost to spending tax dollars on first-class travel and weekend trips home, handing out jobs and pay raises to political aides, holding questionable meetings with companies seeking EPA favors. 13 separate probes now underway involving Pruitt.
I've never seen a political scandal that looks like a Star Wars opening. Look at that list. Like, that list of investigations is longer than a CVS receipt. That's what it is. Yeah, and by the way, Scott Pruitt, if you save those receipts, you can tape them together and you hang it up and it's like a free curtain. Yeah, you can do it. You know, honestly, what's funniest to me about this entire thing is that if Pruitt does get fired, it won't be because he's an EPA chief who's destroying the environment. It'll be because he got caught up in some embarrassing scandal, like stuffing his pockets with White House toilet paper. But, I mean, you know what? At least he'll go down doing what he loves. So, to Scott Pruitt, I say this. Scott Pruitt, my friend, cheers. And may you grift until the last possible second. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Daily Show. California is the birthplace of so many great ideas. The iPhone, Twitter, Arnold Schwarzenegger. But can the Golden State come out with even more innovative ideas? Well, Michael Costa went to find out.
The presidency of Donald Trump has pitted liberals and conservatives against each other with protests, marches, and scathing fourth-grade art projects. But in California, liberal activist Marcus Ruiz Evans has a bold new idea for relieving the tension.
California could simply leave America and become a nation.
California is supposed to be chill, but this doesn't sound very chill.
This maverick wants California to divorce the United States, and he's aiming to put California's secession on November's ballot. Marcus and his organization, called Yes California, say their state has a unique identity that's separate from America.
You have two cultures that are vastly different, with California values versus American values.
But what were these vast differences?
California is the place that welcomes immigrants.
So do you have a big statue up that says, "Bring me your poor, you're tired, you're weak"?
We have the Golden Gate Bridge.
So California's Statue of Liberty is just longer, you can drive on it, and people also commit suicide off it quite frequently.
So what else you got?
The idea of national parks. We invented that.
Yep.
The idea of clean air. Those sort of big ideas.
So you want to create a country that believes in big ideas.
Yes.
And wants to welcome immigrants. It sounds to me like you're stealing America's ideas.
We are.
Original idea or not, this bear fondler has collected thousands of signatures supporting his plan. But Northern California radio host and computer hoarder Paul Preston thinks Yes California is a bad idea.
Well, Yes California is not going to work. Californians are all Americans and Americans first.
Finally, a reasonable person. And Paul has a simple plan to fix all this California conflict.
We're creating New California.
And what is New California?
Well, we want to take California and split it into two states.
I mean, hey, it worked for Israel and Palestine.
Right?
That's right.
Come on! So instead of losing one California, we gain two Californias. And surprise, surprise, Paul claims his California has its own unique identity.
When I think of California, I think of Botox, crystals, milk that comes from nuts. What am I missing?
California, at its core, is a conservative state, but those people have been suppressed.
Although 8 million Californians voted for Hillary, 4 million voted for Trump. So for them, Paul gerrymandered a second conservative California, one without Hollywood, Silicon Valley, or wine country?
This is the fun California, and this is the shit California. Why do you want the shit California?
We believe that that's the best part of California. It's based on ruralness.
It's got to feel nice once you separate to be free from all that excessive tax revenue over there in Silicon Valley and Los Angeles County.
Well, we'll have San Diego County.
So, San Diego, is that because you want to keep the Chargers, or?
They're gone.
You don't even have the fucking Chargers?
But there's one person who doesn't like this two-state solution.
We're going to campaign for every county in California to stay part of California.
What do you say to all those Californians that voted for Trump?
You're welcome to leave if you don't like it.
That's what Americans believe. If you don't want to be in America, then get out.
Well,
you stole that too.
Wow, liberals and conservatives in this state really are at odds. But how bad can it be?
My biggest fear is a lot of people are going to die, which is what happened in the Civil War.
Now we're talking Civil War?
That's not California. Californians are hippies.
Will it be hard to fight a civil war if you don't eat protein or believe in guns? New California, we'll bomb the shit out of you guys.
They won't.
They will. And this Civil War has more than two sides. In the course of shooting this piece, novelty tie enthusiast Tim Draper has introduced a third initiative to split California into 3 states.
We're trying to create states for the next millennium.
And guess who doesn't like the idea of a 3-way besides my girlfriend?
It's better for California if California sticks together.
We shouldn't let our differences tear California apart. We should let your differences tear America apart.
That's a tough one.
But which out-of-the-box plan did Californians actually want? I headed for Venice Beach to find out.
I don't think they should be their own country. I think that's pretty stupid.
Okay, they don't like the liberal plan, so they must be conservative.
What do you see here? Do you see a Muslim man who's trying to take an American job?
He's a comedian.
But he's a Muslim comedian. I mean, how come he gets all the best segments, you know?
Because he's funny.
You know what? We're going to edit that.
These liberals are so impossible. Maybe we should split up the state.
If you're a liberal, stay on the blue side. If you're a conservative, stay on the right side, please. Okay? Make America great again, buddy.
This is working for Korea, isn't it? South Korea, North Korea.
赤は北朝鮮ですよ。
Oh, no.
Seems like the only thing Californians can agree on is how stupid all of these plans are. Oh, and legalizing weed. I got 2 hours before the flight, so let me go investigate that story.
For him, except the dog. He may never walk again. He may never wake up again. And you're telling me the person that did this will get 3 to 5 years? That man deserves to die for what he did to my son.
Patrice. Please welcome Regina King. So good to have you.
It's so good to be back.
This is, wow, can I tell you, 7 Seconds is one of those shows that you know, like Netflix will catch you sometimes because you just watch a show, then it goes like recommend. And I saw 7 Seconds and I saw your face and I started watching the show and I was not ready for how intense and amazing the show is.
Yeah, it's pretty intense.
It really is. Like, just if you give us a light breakdown of what the story is and where it goes.
Yes, it is about a family who their son has been hit by a police officer, a drive-by,
right,
if you will, but literally the car hits him and he's left to die and they try to cover it up. And it's my character in particular just knows that something is not right about it. And as you follow her, it's her trying to get justice for her son. And you have to watch it if you haven't to see what happens. But it definitely is telling a story about things that are going on right now. I mean, it's interesting that you know, showed, which I loved, the I don't know his name, but the strong safety from the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yes, Malcolm Jenkins, yes. Yes. No,
yeah.
And you know what's powerful about the story is that it really captures the human element of a very difficult story to tell. Because in the story, I will only spoil the beginning of the first episode for you, and that is that the police officer makes a mistake.
Yeah.
He makes a mistake, and it's a story of how the cover-up really does make what happened worse because he made a mistake, and because his officers are involved in something shady, they're afraid of how this will look, and so they cover it up, and it becomes worse, and you have these families embroiled. Everyone has stories, everyone has secrets that they're trying to keep, and that really makes it worse. How do you think, like, the success of the show was defined by the humanity of every single one of the characters?
Because the first thing is the fact that Veena Sood, who's the creator, she, instead of making it be a child that was shot by a police officer,
right,
it was a child that was hit by a police officer, and then this story of a cover-up. So that's where I think the humanity comes in and the choices that we make and us being a product of our choices.
Right.
And that's what I guess allowed people to see it from a more human perspective,
right.
You know?
And that really is, I think, what makes 7 Seconds so successful. That combined with the amazing acting, you're phenomenal in it.
Thank you.
I know the Emmys are coming up, and honestly, you have won 2 Emmys. I see a 3rd in your future.
Oh.
It is genuinely phenomenal acting. Over time, you know, as an actor in Hollywood, you've slowly seen a shift in how actors of color have been recognized for their work. You know, all too often I've heard people say like, "Oh, Regina King, she's really come out of nowhere," and you're just like, especially with black people, you go like, "From nowhere? Like, you mean our lives?
Right.
What do you mean nowhere?" Does it feel like that change is finally gaining traction? You know, do you feel like there's a shift in the right direction?
Sure, and I think that I think television.
Interesting.
I think television has been responsible for a bit of a I mean, just the fact that I'm sitting here with you and how you were the one that the baton was passed to.
Right.
Is an example of that there has been this shift in TV and creators and television are having opportunities to tell stories that mirror what's going on in life. So I say sure because I think we've got a long way to go.
Definitely.
Yeah.
No, definitely. And I think a lot of that long way will be, I really think, inspired by the fact that people of color are now gaining equity because somebody like yourself is a really well-known actor who has killed the game for a long time. You've been amazing.
Thank
and now
you.
we see you Directing, we see you producing. You directed your very first pilot.
Yes.
Which is, I mean, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
That is
Thank
phenomenal.
you. Thank you.
But you also directed shows like This Is Us. You know, you've been out there. Was it ever a choice? Did someone ever say to you, hey, Regina, do you want to direct or do you want to act? Was that ever a choice that was put in front of you?
No, that was not a choice that was put in front of me. That was a desire and some examples that were before me. You know, Marla Gibbs was a huge example, and I think a lot of people, she doesn't get the credit that she deserves because she was one of the first that was producing and starring and sold her own show. You know, 227 was a stage play that she took to NBC and sold it. And so I got to have a front row seat to see a woman do that.
Right.
And so I kind of feel like it was in me to desire to have more ownership and more of a presence than just an actor. Although I love acting, I will never stop doing it, but I know that there's ways that I can bring opportunities to tell our stories even more and in a more present way.
Do you ever feel that it's hard? Because honestly, I cannot stress enough how talented you are as an actor. I mean, everything from the Boondocks through to 7 Seconds, you're phenomenal. So is there ever a moment where you're directing somebody and then you're just like, just do it like this, and then go out in front there? Like, is there ever that moment where you're like, just do it? Do it the way I would, you know what, roll on me, roll on me. Is that ever a feeling that you have, or do you completely separate yourself and change your role?
Yes, I really try. I've had some really great mentors as directors, and it's really important to not, because I know what I don't want as an actor. I don't want a director to give me a line read or, you know, tell me that, say it like this. I don't want that. So I really am conscious of that. But I will say there are times that I am behind the camera and the actors are just so amazing and they're so great, and I want to jump in there and be in the scene and act with them. So I do have those moments.
I'm excited to see what you're going to be doing next. 7 Seconds is an amazing, amazing story that you're telling. Good luck for the Emmys that are coming up. Thank you for being on the show with us again.
Thank you.
7 Seconds is available on Netflix. Please, trust me, you want to watch it. Regina King, everybody. We'll be right back. That's our show for tonight. But before we go, if you live in LA, great news. The Donald J. Trump Presidential Twitter Library is going to be in Los Angeles for the next 2 weekends. It is our critically acclaimed immersive museum dedicated to the tweeter-in-chief, and it's totally free for you to attend. For hours and locations, just go to thedailyshow.com/Trump Twitter Library. Hope to see you there. Stay tuned. The Opposition with Jordan Klepper is coming up next. But first, here it is, your moment of Zen.
Some of these things that Mr. Pruitt apparently has done, I know some of them are allegations, some of them are facts, he is acting like a moron.